Okay, I'm just double checking. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
In that corner of the room?
Yeah.
This corner of the room? Come on, can you hear me? So I'm going to say, at my brother's wedding, are we all happy to be here? And I'm going to say, at my new albino sister's wedding, are we all happy to be here? So I got to say, I memorised my speech tonight, trying to be all bravado, not memorising it, but in the emotion of the moment, I forgot a little bit. So I'm going to rely on my iPad. So those of you who don't know me, my name is Murali. I'm Vamsee's very, very single younger brother. Now, I know Vance is probably a little bit nervous to give me the mic, so I'm going to keep this as short and sharp as I possibly can. So I'm going to start off with a little bit of sentiment, if that's okay. Throughout my life, there's been one constant that in some way or another has served as a guiding light, a kick up the bum, a friend, but most importantly, a big brother. It's been a very big shadow to live under, and it goes by many names. Whammy, Vammer, Vam Dog, Doggy Dogs, Vams, and those who've known him long enough, as we know, Craig David. However, I call him my big brother. Oh, I'll tell you what.
Nani.
Let's hear for Nani. So those of us who know Vamsee know there are two very, very different sides to him that are so intrinsically intertwined that you can't get one without the other. Now, the younger generation in the room might remember these lollies called warheads, where you put them in your mouth and they start off sour for 60 seconds. But after you got through the sourness, you got sweet, sweet candy. I realise I'm describing my older brother as sweet, sweet candy, but make no mistake about it. Historically, you don't get to the candy first. You've got to worm a little. So what I want to do today is tell you a couple of stories about the sweetness that exists inside my brother and how since meeting Laura, it's come to the surface in a way that none of us could ever have imagined. You no longer have to get through those 60 seconds of pain. And I'm going to say it, you just get that sweet, sweet candy up front. As you all know, Vamsee, when he picks up any sport, he just dominates at it. Suffice to say, that made him a very, very popular lad at school. Conversely, inversely, if you gave me a cricket ball, I'd try to bite into it to see if there's chocolate on the inside. Again, that made me not so popular. Now, I'm going to tell you a story. I remember when I was in year 4, there was this kid named Lane Sherman. You remember him?
I think so.
He used to pick on me at recess, lunch, after school, before school, and any time in between. One day it got too much. I had this grand idea that if I told my popular basketball-wearing, card-collecting, flat-top-wearing older brother, he might go and have a word with him, and just maybe, Vamsee's popularity could seep through to me by association. So that night, I'll tell you this, Wednesday nights, back in the day, X-Files used to air, it wasn't my idea, but Vamsee had this idea that if we slept together, it'll be a little less scary. So we used to sleep in the same bed. Anyway, so I waited till Wednesday, and I thought, you know, I'm going to tell Vamsee, he's going to sort this out for me. And I told him, and he was pretty quiet, almost dismissive. You know, I was a little bit hurt, and you know, eventually I fell asleep. But the next day at lunch, I skirted around the outskirts of the oval, trying to be avoided and all that sort of thing. But then I heard this ruckus up top. And I crept up as close as I could. And I saw Vamsee holding this kid in a headlock and then promised to be nice to me from then on in. And I'll tell you what, I don't think Vamsee saw me watching that day, but I couldn't wipe the smile off my face. And I'll tell you something else. Next week, like it was almost embarrassing for Lane Sherman, wherever he is now. The next week, he nominated me as student representative council. Ultimately, what I'm saying is sour to begin with, but sweet on the inside. You know, I remember it was probably about July, August 2008. I got a phone call from Vamsee. Oi, you home? I was like, yeah, what's up? And he was like, wait, no, I'll be there in 10 minutes. I was like, Vams, I'm literally stepping out the door. I've got an important meeting to go to. He was like, oi, shut up. I'll be there in 10 minutes. I said, I've got something I want to show you. And I'll tell you what, when either I call Vamsee or Vamsee calls me and we say we want to show each other something, it's either I bought a new TV and then Vamsee bought the model up. Vamsee bought some speakers, then I bought the model up. I was like, I really had an important meeting to go to that day, so I was a little pissed off that he was like, stay at home, but being the younger brother, you do what your older brother says, right? And so he comes in, and I think, what could he possibly have bought? He just bought a brand new car, I just bought a brand new TV, like we've got everything a man could want. Ultimately, he brought home a girl. He brought home a girl, and I thought to myself, when I laid eyes on this girl, how am I ever going to top this? This girl's name was Amanda. No, I have to say, that was almost 5 years ago now. But from that moment, we knew that she would bring something incredibly special, not only to Vamsee's life, but our family's life. And she did. I remember when Vamsee first told me that he was thinking of getting a pet, I almost choked. If I was to try and imagine the last person alive who'd want a pet to cherish and love, it probably would have been my brother. However, that's what I'm trying to get into. Laura saw something deeper in him. And a few years ago, she bought him this beautiful black Labrador named Zoe. We all met Zoe? Yeah. Everyone met Zoe. And I'm going to say, Vamsee's shown Zoe more love, dedication, and care than he'll ever show Laura. Sorry, it's true. In fact, as Papa T, as we call Laura's dad now, as Papa T once said to me, he goes, you know, since Van's got that pup, he's completely built up. He's lactating like a proud mother. Again, what I have to say, it starts off sour, but when you dig deeper, there's a sweetness there that surprises everyone in the best of ways, and that too, very consistently. Now, as you know, our father passed away a few years ago, and during the time he was sick, Laura was so much a part of our family that he wanted them to get married there and then. And a few days before he died, while still showing that incredible sense of optimism that made him him, he confided in me that in all likelihood he knew he wouldn't be there for the wedding. And he made me promise no matter what, I would treat Laura like a sister. He didn't need to tell me that though, because from the day Vamsee brought her home, she was my sister. Later on he said, these days, 100% love isn't enough. A couple need 1,000%. And I think he's absolutely right. And I see that in Vamsee and Laura, as evidenced by the beautiful tears my brother showed today at the wedding. One of the most beautiful moments of my life. Can we agree on that? He continuously told me that he saw Laura as a daughter and part of our family. And in his words, so why can't they hurry up and get married? Well, Dad, you knew it would happen, and it did. And I know that right now you're in this room happier than anyone else here. I'm really proud to be able to pass on a message from him from a few years back. And he asked me to tell you guys, when this day finally happened, be good to one another. It won't be easy. But as husband and wife, that's what your job will be, to support one another, always. Now, when a child gets married, there are no two happier people than a mother and a father. And first of all, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank my mother for everything, especially the beautiful Indian wedding she organised 2 weeks ago. And my father for being our dad. Furthermore, I'd like to thank my new family. It's been a freaking pleasure getting to know you all. And since that weekend we met a couple of years ago, we've been family. Papa T, Mama Carey, Jack Teasy, and Jess Bond. So, before I do end, I've got a couple more things I want to say, but this is my attempt at, and I was just asking Ray before I got up here, is profundity a word? And if it isn't, this is my attempt at being profound. Ultimately, I want to tell you a short story about the creature, the locust. And we all know the locust is a creature that can fly through kilometers through the air, but it can't take off. It can move through kilometers through the air, but the locust literally cannot fly. But the locust doesn't sit around for its whole life saying, oh, I wish I could fly. You know, it realizes that its strength isn't in its wings, because the locust's wings are too thin to carry its own body weight. It realizes that its strength is in its legs. And you see, the locust can jump 200 times its own height. And the locust is smart enough to know when it hears these rustling in the trees and it feels the wind coming, the locust knows to jump. And it lets the wind take it to its destination. And I've got to say, Vamsee's a smart guy, but he was smart enough to know to jump when Laura came along. So ultimately what I'm getting at is, for as long as I can remember, Vamsee's been the Batman to my Robin, the Tendulkar to my Ganguly, the Dolman to my Louise, and the Michael to my Jermaine. But most importantly, he's been the Vamsee to my Murali. However, the time has come where I think I've been made a little redundant in that role. I don't think I'll ever get to sleep in the same bed with him again. You know, I think he's found someone a little better looking and a little more suited to him. And I'd like to say she's the Winslet to his DiCaprio, yes, the April O'Neil to his Ninja Turtle, the Jasmine to his Aladdin, and the Juliet to his Romeo, the Laura to his Vamsee, a beautiful wife to an excellent and honourable husband. Now, honour is an excellent word here, and I can't think of a better word to describe this couple: honourable. So in the spirit of that, I'd like to honour them both tonight. So we can raise our glass and give your best to my brother and my brand new sister as husband and wife. I wish I had a glass. Best wishes. And I told you later on the night, give me the mic back and I'll sing for you.